Hello students, I'm Himani Sharma, your UGC NET Paper 1 educator. In this new YouTube video, we will be moving forward with our 30-day lecture plan that we have as the last lab. For your preparation, for your last minute revision, where we all will be solving certain PYQs, but the focus with solving those PYQs are the last revision concepts. So, through the usage of PYQs, we all will be delving deep into the concepts, seeing what do they mean, right? So, before even wasting any further time, let us just look at the first question that we have here, right? Here you have list 1, which is the research types, and list 2, which comprises of the goals of research. So, here you are supposed to match the following. Pause your video and see what do you think is the correct answer here. The answer here is option B, that is A4, B3, C2 and D1. C2 and D1. So if we talk about certain things which are there, the certain types of research, if you would have gone on your own through certain PYQs, you would have seen that there are certain keywords which are, repeated in every PYQ. For that matter, if you talk about the action research, this word amelioration is really important. What is amelioration? Amelioration means improvement of something. So action research is there to focus on the improvement part. Fundamental research has other names such as basic or pure research, which is done because it wants to advance the corpus of knowledge in a field. Hence, it forms the base foundation. Hence, it is known as fundamental or basic research, right? It does not have an entire goal. It just would want to have the knowledge corpus enhanced, correct? Moving to applied research, where we will be seeing the applicability of already established principles. So we will be seeing that there are certain principles, right? How are those principles, applied in different situations, right? Coming to the fourth type of research here we have is the evaluative research, which is appraising impact of interventions. If you change something, if you intervene in something, right? So what are the impacts of those interventions, and then you evaluate those very interventions effects. That is known as evaluative research. Moving forward with the second question that we have for today, the research method which focuses on establishing causal relationship with control among variables, but variables independent, moderator and dependent, is called. The answer to this question is option D. Because we are talking about, first of all, students tend to read this word as casual. This is not casual, it is causal, which means cause and effect relationship is being seen here, is established here. What kind of research is that? That is experimental research, where you have independent variable, you have a dependent variable, and you might have certain moderator variables as well, correct? So we see that how this control is maintained amongst these three types of variables, and where the control is the most in the experimental type. Let us just read the explanation that we have. In this, that is the experimental research, the researcher directly manipulates the independent variable in order to assess its effect on the dependent variable, right? So it also reutilizes the principles of randomization, because the researcher here in the experimental research would want to be the most objective, which means he wants to be unbiased. And how can that be done? If the variables are controlled, if he is not manipulating, if he is not, changing certain things according to his own, views, beliefs, etc. It is easier to interpret the relationship between independent and dependent variable, as they can manipulate the independent variable. The independent variable is what? and the dependent variable is what? Is what you will be answering me in the comment section below. Which amongst them is the cause and which amongst them is the effect? Comment down below and let me know. So here in this kind of research, coming back to the question, the experimental research, we will be establishing the direct cause and effect relationship between two variables, independent and dependent variable. The next question that I have for you is, the conceptual framework in which a research is conducted is called or is known as what? The answer here is option B, conceptual framework. Framework is basically when you do research, right? You need certain things in mind. You need a proper outline or a blueprint or a design. Even if you want to build a house, you need a proper plan, right? So, the design arrangement of a research project, commonly known as the research design, correct? It is a conceptual structure or framework within which the research is conducted. So, for instance, if you are going to collect data, right, which is subjective in nature, then you are going to choose a research design which is qualitative in nature. If you would have seen the previous video, you would be knowing that I have talked about in greater detail about qualitative and quantitative research, right? So, if in-depth study is the course there, then you are going to choose qualitative research. All right. To construct a house, we need to have a proper blueprint prepared by an expert architect. Same is the case with a person using the research design. You will have particular things noted down. You will know these kinds of variables I'll be choosing. This will be my sample, this will be my population, and so on and so forth. So you need a particular blueprint. Even if you start your day, certain people like to start their day by preparing a to-do list. What is that? That to-do list is a blueprint of their entire day plan, right? Same is the case with the research design. A research design depends on the purpose and the nature of the research problem. That if, as I told you, you are going to collect data which is subjective in nature, then the nature of the research is in-depth analysis. And how can that be done? Using the qualitative tools like interviews, right? Questionnaires, etc. The research design must contain a clear and concise statement of the research problem, right? The population to be studied, as I told you, you will be having population, the samples, and how you will be drawing out the samples. Will those samples be probability sampling technique selected through the probability sampling technique or the non-probability sampling technique? So you will, all in all, you will have the entire program, the entire recipe of doing your research handy if you create a research design. In a good research design, all the components go together in a coherent manner. So as I told you, if you want to cook anything, if you want to make a particular recipe, a dish, you will have to follow the recipe entirely. Same is the case with the research design. You will have to have them in a stepwise manner so that you do not forget to, skip any one part which is really important. It is needed because it facilitates the smooth functioning of the various research operations. That now I am going to do the sample. Now I am going to conduct my research, and here these are the tools with which I will be analyzing my data, and this is how I will be referencing it, right? So from A to Z of research, it is being done because of the research design which is handy to you. The next question we have here is, a research intends to explore the effect of possible factors for the organization of effective midday meal intervention. Which research method will be most appropriate for this study? So pause your videos again, students, and try to see what we have here as the answer. The answer here is option D, ex post facto method. In the previous video, we have talked about ex post facto method as well in detail. So you all will be knowing if we are talking about the effect of certain things, right? So how will that be done? In ex post facto, we have seen that the things have already happened. Hence, it is known as after the fact, right? Where the investigation starts after the fact has occurred without interference from the researcher, correct? and the researcher predicts the possible causes behind that very event or the effect that is here. So in the ex post facto, we are seeing the of causes of the occurred effect. Correct? And for example, if a child is delinquent, which means the one who indulges in criminal activities, right? Then in order to find the basic reason of him being delinquent, the researcher would try to find out the various events that have occurred. Correct? And from those events, he will try to find out the possibilities, and those possibilities are what we are calling here as the causes. So here, effects, the causes of the effects, etc., we are measuring them, correct? So those criminal activities could be because of lack of discipline at school, could be because of the family history, peer effect, neighborhood, or socialization. So we are going to see through ex post facto that there are various causes which are there for a particular phenomena, and we are going to see which amongst them was the particular reason for a particular effect to happen. Then the next question, a very important kind of research. In doing action research, what is the usual sequence of steps? The answer here is option B, which is plan, act, observe, and reflect. Which was given by whom? You will be letting me know that who gave the concept of this very thing, this action research. I'm not talking about the cycle. I'm talking about the concept of action research was given by whom? Comment down below and let me know. So, moving forward with the explanation, action research refers to the application of research to educational problems. As I told you, that action research is something which tells us that it is learning. Let me just write it again here. Learning by doing. Correct? So here, because the name also suggests that it is about the action which is being done, you will be learning through doing certain tasks. You will be performing certain actions, and from those actions you are going to learn. And this type of research is mostly used in the teaching learning process, in the educational paradigms, to see if there are any new learning ways, learning methods which can be incorporated in the classrooms for the better learning environment, right? So first of all, we have plan here. An understanding of the problem is developed and plans are made to make a change. So first of all, if there is a teacher who wants to see that the traditional methods, as I tell, the traditional methods are not being appropriate for the students, she will use certain other methods, right? Or for using those other methods, she'll have to act. So from traditional methods, she will be moving forward with certain other methods using flashcards, right, for the revision part. The changes which are planned are implemented or carried out. So she will conduct the new class in a new teaching, with a new teaching method. Observe the impact of the change. You will see now with the new teaching method that if there was a change which is observed, if there was deterioration, or the educational part of the students, they have increased it, their understanding of the concept is being increased there. So you will see that through the observation. And then you will see the data and results from the previous phase are reflected, and you will see that was the traditional method okay, or was the flashcards method okay. So you will compare those results, and if the results are negative, which means that the flashcards are not doing good, you will again change the pattern. Hence, this type of research, this action research is cyclic in nature, because you can move forward from one step to the other. That is the cycle that we have here. You can move back and forth again to the steps until and unless you reach a particular understandable and the correct type of teaching method or any ideology that you have in the teaching learning process. Then we have a difficult question for you all. This was asked in the 2021 examination, I suppose. So read this question, pause your screens there and try to find out what would be the answer. Then I'll show you the options, choose the options amongst the two of them. So pause your screens, read it carefully till the time you need. Here we have the options. So from these four options, you are supposed to choose the correct one. The answer that we have here is option A, which means statement A, statement 1 and statement 2 both are correct. How is that? Let's just see. First of all, what are experimental effects? Let's just see that. Experimental effects are the ones in which participants subconsciously adjust their behavior to meet their interpretations of the experiment's purpose. So, for instance, even if a person is given a sugar pill, right, and the experimenter asked him that, are you feeling better, but you were having a headache, correct? So, they will adjust subconsciously that, yes, I'm feeling better. So, their effects, their behavior will change based on their subconscious, right, which is there, which is a little biased. Coming to statement 1 here, experimental effects are errors introduced during the collection or analysis of experimental data due to the behavior of the experimenter. So, the experimenter had his or her, biasness which was there, and because of that, during the collection and data analysis, you have messed up, or you have, the errors have occurred. Experimental effects caused by the experimenter's action during the collection or the experimental analysis of the experimental data. They can skew the data gathered in an experiment and thus skew the results analyzed in at least 4 ways. So how can an experimenter, whosoever is doing the research, can skew, how can he skew the results? How can he mess up with the results? He can change the results which were intended to be something other. Correct? So there are 4 ways. Number 1 is small changes in participant treatment. So if they are treating the other participants with some other legit medicine, but with one participant or 2 participants, they genuinely are giving them sugar pills, that is the small changes that can be observed there. Coming to data recording errors, even if all the participants are given the medicine, but the experimenter, because he is biased, he is not being objective there, he is recording the data that is based on his own experiences, his own beliefs. Case selection errors, that he is selecting only the population that he wants to, study, which he knows will be the one which will be for his, type of research that he is conducting. And data analysis errors, which means that data, even if it is collected, even if it is analyzed, you are quoting the results which are based on your personal choices. So these 4 things which are there, these all come, according to the biasness which can be seen in the researcher or the experimenter. Correct? The experimenter's personal features, that is his age, his or her age, sex, race, attitudes and expectations, have a direct impact, and those effects will be having a different impact altogether on the research that he's doing. Correct? Experimental effects skew results in favor of their results. Hence, they are making changes and they are showing us the results which would not have turned out as they turned out to be, because the experimenter, they changed it, they modified it, they altered it, right? So in favor, that too in their favor, that what he wants to prove, that thing has been proven even if the results were something else. So statement 1 is correct. Let's just see statement 2, which says, due to the presence of certain cues in the experimental setting, the participants form an interpretation of the experiment's purpose and subconsciously change their behavior to fit that interpretation. So if obviously if I am going as a participant in some other person's research and I'm participating there, and I see that he wants me to answer in yes only, whatever I ask, whatever I have been asked, I have seen that there are particular people who were just being answering yes, 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 yes. So from that thing, I will be able to see, and that thing subconsciously will affect me as a participant, and I will also answer in yes. So this is what is being done because of the presence of certain cues which are there, which affect the subconscious mind of the participant, and hence he tends to answer based on the observations which are there, based on what are there, which is the interpretation of the researcher. Hence, statement 2 is also correct. Next, we have again two statements, statement-based question. Pause your videos. The answer to this question is option D, which means that statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct. Let's just see how. Statement 1 says fundamental research is directed at exploring the applicability of truths and principles which are already established. If you would have legit focused, you were legit focused from the starting of the video, you would have seen that we matched the fundamentals and we matched the fundamentals and applied research. So this research, the kind of research that we are talking about here, which is directed at exploring the applicability of truths and principles which are already established, was applied research and not fundamental. Hence, this statement is wrong. Correct? Fundamental, on the other hand, is a type of research that is aimed at gaining a better understanding of a subject, right? Generation of new knowledge. We were talking about when we matched certain things, we saw that how this type of research, that is fundamental research in nature, wants to advance or enhance the corpus of knowledge which is already established or already there, right? So advancement of theory or advancement of knowledge is done using the fundamental research. So applied research, as I told you, so statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 2 says action research aims at ameliorating ongoing conditions and practices. Of course, this is correct because of the fact that even if you again recall the first slide, first of all, we saw the word ameliorating, correct, which means improvement. And wherever we will see the word, obviously I am not making a hard and fast rule here. You obviously will have to read the question carefully. What if here fundamental research would have been written? You would have answered the question like that only, right? That it is correct or incorrect. So we are not just going to be based on the keywords which are here, but yes, keep those keywords in mind to identify that if you get confused somewhere in the question paper, that yes, I have read this somewhere, correct? So coming here, as the name suggests, action, which is doing something, and research, which is analyzing. This research analyzes by the action. We have talked about the cycle of research that we have here and how it is a learning by doing. Right? So action research aims at improving certain situations. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Then we have the next question. Which of the following research formats focuses on hypothesis testing and generalizations? The answer that we have here is option A, that is experimental research and ex post facto research are the ones which focus on hypothesis testing to test something, right, their statements, and they generalize certain things as well. So first of all, we will be talking about the experimental research, which is there to establish causal relationships, right? Cause and effect, cause and effect relationships, right? And that too in the direct manner, correct? Also, it can manipulate the independent variable, whatever we have as the independent variable, it can increase or decrease it into quantity. Let's just take Complan for example, right? If you take Complan, that whatever amount is suggested, whatever quantity is suggested, you see that your height is getting increased. But if you completely stop taking it, you will see now your height growth is stopped. That is where what we see the manipulation as. The manipulation here is not the mental manipulation that we think in today's era, but here we are talking about the manipulation which is done, the changes, the alterations which have been made or changed with the independent variable. And we also have to be the ones who control this very research. The environment is supposed to be controlled. Correct? It also tests the formulated hypothesis, whatever is formulated, and uses the results to generalize. So if I again talk about a particular medicine, I wanted to see its effect on humans, right? So I just tested that very medicine on certain group of people, and I saw that it was being beneficial, and then I generalized with one hypothesis. I generalized those test results. That is what is being done with the experimental research. Coming to ex post facto, we have talked about it in greater detail as well. After the fact has occurred, explores a cause for the condition that already exists and the effect has already happened. Here, the researcher obviously cannot manipulate the independent variable, or he just can predict the cause which is based on the dependent variable. So effect has already been there. Now based on that effect, you are going to infer certain things, that all right, this must have happened, this must have happened, correct? Participants are randomly assigned based on the pre-existing conditions here, right? For example, male versus female, smoker versus non-smoker, etc. It is used as a substitute of true experimental research. If we talk about this very design in experimental type, this is a true research experiment, true experimental design. But here, this thing ex post facto, because we are obviously going to see the causes which are there, we will be seeing it as a substitute for true experimental research, where we will be testing hypotheses, we will be testing statements, and we will be seeing the cause and effect relationship. Right? In the experimental research, we obviously see the cause and effect relationships and we generalize those things. Same is the case with the ex post facto, because we from the effect are moving to cause. So in and all, we are going to see the cause and effect relationship which is there, right? So hypotheses are tested and conclusions drawn are generalized with some limitations. So the conclusions will be generalized to that very research, or the kind of research, the kind of same situations, if that situations happen with some other people. So limitations are there, but results can be generalized. Hence, this is a type of research that ex post facto and experimental method are the ones which focus on hypothesis testing and generalizations. Next question that we have here is, the characteristics of longitudinal studies are, pause your video. The answer here is option D, which says 3, 4 and 5. Provide alternative choices, allow insights into the time order of variables, and focuses on individual or institutional development. First of all, if we talk about the longitudinal studies are something which says that we are going to measure, we are going to see different people, right? Different people, the same people, sorry, at different times. Same people. So the participants will remain same, but the time will vary. So that is what we have in the longitudinal, that is same people over a lengthy period of time, and its opposite will be cross sectional, where we will be dealing with many people but at one point of time only, correct? So if I ordered pizzas and I'm asking people only at one point of time that how did you like it, so I am gathering data only for once. But if we talk about the longitudinal part, I am going to observe a child raised in a Hindu family, and I will see what were the rituals which affected his moral and ethical values as well. So from his infant, when he was an infant, I will see his growth mentally, physically, and I will observe him based on the years. So from year 1 to till whatever age I want to conduct the research, right? Till that age, I'm going to observe. That will be termed as longitudinal. But on the other hand, as we talked about, one point of time, same individuals, that is cross-sectional, correct? Longitudinal studies allow researchers to track their subjects in real time, right? So we are meeting them, we are asking them questions in real time, not even just about meeting them. We can have different modes of interactions, but that interaction will help in happen in real time. As a result, researchers are able to gather to better determine the true order of events. Hence, we talk about this very thing, the time order of variables, because you are seeing the effects from the child who was 1 year or 1 years of age, and then you see that a child which is different on 3 years of age, he has developed, correct? Longitudinal research also allows for many observations of the same person throughout time. This is also a benefit, or we can say the characteristic of a longitudinal research, which means that any changes in the outcome cannot be attributed to the individual differences. There must be certain other factors which would have contributed. And what will those factors be? We will be seeing that. Coming to the, we have three types of longitudinal studies. Panel study, right? Retrospective study and cohort study. In the panel study, the researcher collects data from a defined number of variables, that means people, at regular but distant intervals. So, if you say I am collecting data on January, then I'm collecting the data on the 6th month, right? And then on the 12th. So, fixed intervals are there, but they are distant in time, correct? Sometimes across few years using data collection methods such as questionnaire. So even I had taken a survey where I was given a questionnaire 1 year prior, and the same questionnaire was sent to me after 1 year to see if I answer the same questions in the same manner, correct? Retrospective study, the researcher draws on previously collected data through systematic investigations to uncover patterns. So he will observe if there were certain patterns which have been there in a particular person, right? And he will observe and uncover those very patterns by seeing the data which was previously collected. That is what is retrospection. We talk about retrospection, right? Same is the case with here, that study that is previously done, right? Past events will be the focus here. In the cohort study, the researcher compares a particular outcome. For example, lung cancer, obviously if we talk about lung cancer is the effect or the outcome, correct? In a group of individuals who are alike in many ways but differ by a certain characteristic. For example, female nurses, so they are alike here, right? Because they all are nursing people, they all are helping people, but who smoke versus the female nurses who do not smoke. So they are alike in certain ways, that they are doing particular same job, you can say, but the differentiation here being the ones who smoke and the ones who do not smoke. This is what we do in the cohort study, right? So I hope the things were clear to you in this very lecture. We will be meeting again with certain more important PYQs and with the concepts that we have, which we have dealt in, in a detailed manner. Till then, keep on studying, keep on smiling. I will see you again. Thank you so much. Have a good day.